We have been to so many families' houses where we go into their kitchens and there's absolutely nothing. There's like not even a grain of rice. God made us show up there. You know what I mean? Like these people have nothing. Like it's really, really sad. They open up their kitchen and there's like nothing in there.
Wow.
Like not even like a little bit of garlic on the side or like half a thing of rice. There's nothing. So these people are just like going around getting cassava or some leaves from the jungle or something. I'm not even sure how I don't really understand how they're surviving.
Welcome to Beyond the Matrix with your host, Adric Suber. Have you ever wondered if this is all there is in life? What lies beyond what we were made to believe? In this podcast, we're going to uncover real human stories of those who have taken courage to go off the beaten path and live in full authenticity. We're going to challenge what you believe is possible, fuel your spirit with courage, and heart with warmth to fully live your truth. So buckle up and get ready for the ride beyond the Matrix. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Matrix. Today feels very special because the guest I'm going to have for today is tied to my birthday fundraiser. My birthday is coming in less than a week, and for my birthday, I decided to raise a fund for Feed Bali to help feed families, underprivileged families in Bali that are suffering due to the COVID-19. And our guest today is a Canadian entrepreneur reborn as Balinese Priestess. Having worked in Hong Kong, San Francisco, Toronto, Tokyo as media sales exec, she decided one day to leave her world behind, and when she traveled to Bali, she met her now Balinese husband 21 years ago, and she took her first fateful step to become the first foreign Balinese priestess in this country. And together with her husband, they both own a traveling company, a wedding company, and also her cooking school, where we're currently in right now. However, when COVID hit last year, they had to pivot and they created Feed Bali, a beautiful nonprofit that has contributed to feeding over 4,000 families, over 500,000 meals in total. And this year, she is also publishing her first book in the series, Trestna, Gate of Love, Memories of Balinese Priestess. So without further ado, please join me and welcome a very special human being with such a beautiful heart,
Thank,
Francis.
thank you so much, Edri. I'm so delighted to be speaking with you today and just sharing our tea over cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were very, very excited for you to contribute with so much love, giving back to Bali, where you've been living for a year. And it's just so heartening to see young people like you basically come up with innovative ideas and creative ideas of ways to give back. And I think we really thank you. With Edrix, he plans to raise 2,800, but I think he's going to top that based on what I can see so far. And basically, he's feeding a small village here in Bali. And he will feed probably almost 100 families, and it'll be for 2 weeks, and the families of 4, and with about 2 to 3 meals a day. So it's really significant how much you're going to give back, because the Balinese really need your help right now. And because as I was saying before, you're not just giving them food, you're giving them hope. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this for Bali. When I was researching on which organization to work with to donate to, I've been doing this for a couple of years for my birthday, and this year I just felt really called to do something for Bali because I just moved here a year ago, and then I felt like since then I have received so much abundance and connections and growth from this beautiful land, and seeing the day-to-day of the locals and seeing the contrast of the experience between what I experienced. Although I'm local, I consider having a very expat-like kind of experience, going to retreats and developing my spirituality and myself versus the locals that I saw during these difficult times. They're having a hard time even to get by to feed themselves, to put mouths in food in their mouth. So that's why I felt really called to your organization. And my friend Gina has also donated to you guys before. And when I looked at your website, I just felt so called to work with you because just from the way you documented everything, the process, how meticulous you are in documenting each
money that went into the fund and like how it was used for the family, what food do you get, all went to the spreadsheet. I just like I really trust you and your organization and the impact that you guys have created for this land. So thank you for doing what you guys are doing.
And you're just giving me goosebumps, Edric, because I think that's exactly true what you're saying, that when people come to Bali, they feel really touched, but they really see a different side of Bali. They see that beautiful paradise that everyone dreams of. And of course, yes, absolutely, that special energy where you can have growth and spirituality and all the beauty that comes with that. But now, because of the COVID situation, a lot of people are suffering that when they weren't before. They were, because about 80% of people relied on tourism in some way, whether they were a farmer or whether they were actually a bellboy or a waitress in a restaurant, because so many businesses have closed. We've been completely closed since March last year. So it's now been a long 18 months. And unfortunately, with Indonesia being a developing country, we don't have the finances to give the stimulus checks like they might do in Western countries like the US or Canada. So people are really struggling here. But we have been so lucky. When we started this with the cooking school, we shut down, as I said, last year in March. And then what happened was that we basically, because we deal in food and because we didn't know what COVID was at that point, it was coronavirus at that point, we didn't know how it would affect the community. We just want everyone in our community to be safe. So we sent our team home with full salary, and then we gave them enough money so they could be safe at home for 2 weeks. And then we shut ourselves up, myself, my husband, and our daughter. We just stayed here for 2 weeks. And I became really depressed, actually. Probably I fell into deep depression because we'd refunded all of our cooking classes, which were fully booked last March. And we have 2 little colleges. We'd also canceled all those days. And the world just shut down, as we know, a few days later after we closed our cooking school. And I just thought it would be a temporary thing. And then I realized that maybe it wasn't going to be temporary because the world started shutting down and the Bali airport shut down. And then I was really feeling sorry for myself. I have to say that. And my daughter was like thinking, she's rolling her eyes, she's a teenager. So she was saying, Mom, you're being ridiculous. We're fine. And here in our cook school, as you can see, we have 2 big fridges. We have this massive garden full of produce that supports our cooking school. And because we don't have any more classes, what we're going to do with all that excess food. So on Santi's birthday, which was March 23rd last year, I asked family and friends, I sent an email out and said, oh, could you donate $23, which I think it will feed a family of 4 for about 2 weeks. And therefore they can also stay at home. And we're also going to donate all the produce from our garden, like lemongrass, galangal, lots of immune building spices. And we sent that out. And overnight, like I thought maybe we're going to feed the 20 families around our cooking school.
Yeah.
And then overnight, it was pledged about, I think, 30 million, which is way more than we expected. And so we're like, wow, this is a lot. And then it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah.
So, and then because people like you and so many amazing donors like Juna, like you mentioned, so many people within the Bali community, as well as all over the world. So all the tourists who've ever been to Bali, like tons of Australians, Europeans, Canadians from all over the world contributed and have been doing so and continue to do so to this day. So 18 months later, you're right, we've fed 4,555 families as of yesterday.
Wow.
And we go all over Bali to help those people who have been affected by COVID the most. So it could be even a young couple who might be both working tourism and they have young kids at home and they might be renting a small house in, let's say, Sanur area. And both of them are now unemployed for 18 months. So they would have had to go back to their original village, and maybe they do some farming if they're lucky enough to have some farmland in their home village. But many people are not so lucky. And if you go to North Valley or East Valley or even far West Valley, these are the parts that are not close to any tourism areas. And they have very, very arid areas. So it's not farmland either. So we're hitting the people who were most affected by COVID, like ones who were in hospitality, as well as the ones who are the most impoverished and living in the worst conditions. Because these people in the most impoverished areas, they would have in the past received something from these people working in tourism.
Right.
Because it would have trickled down to the village at some point.
Yeah.
But now there's no trickle. It's completely like a drought. So that's why we're trying to help both ends.
Yeah. And in our previous conversation, I like what you said about you're not just giving food, you're actually giving them hope.
Mhm.
Because my initial kind of concern that came out was like, oh, what happens after the 2 weeks? Because whenever I try to do good, I want to make sure that it's self-sustaining. It's not
Yeah.
like just giving the fish people the fish, but teaching them how to fish.
Of course.
But I really like what you mentioned about this is giving them the hope to be able to just get out of the bed and like figure out solutions for themselves.
That's right. So that's what we were seeing. That's what we were. It was very emotional because we're meeting all these families, and they really, Bali, we have been through so many ups and downs. We have bombing, we have Mount Agung erupting, we have this and that and everything else.
Yeah, you've
So-
seen it all in those.
Like, okay, bring it on. So the Balinese here are very, very, very resilient, and they're very patient and accepting of whatever, I would say, crap happens. So they were thinking that, this is going to be maybe a couple of months and we'll be okay. So they really weren't thinking that it's going to be for a long time. And I would say the people that we first saw, they just thought, oh, thank you so much for the food. And they're so grateful. Like, I have to tell you the most beautiful story. Well, we gave to 3 families, the 20 families around here. We were giving everything in a wheelbarrow because it's just myself adding in Santi at the beginning. And to put all the food, we had to fill a wheelbarrow, and we would go from house to house. And when we went to the 3rd house, we gave them their stuff. And then we had to come back here, refill the wheelbarrow, and go to the 4th house. And when we went to the 4th house, the 3rd house had actually given half their food to the 4th house. It was in their kitchen. And I was just so astonished. Like, I seriously had tears like rolling down my eyes because I couldn't believe these people, without even a thought, because that took us like 5 minutes to do that, immediately gave half what we gave them as a gift. So like, it was so beautiful to see. Like, that was our 3rd and 4th family. Can you imagine the effect on us, right? We're like, wow. This doesn't really mean something. It's almost like, as I would say, a sign from God, like talking directly to us. So I thought, you know what? It's not like the food was going bad. It's not like, they had some extra to give away. They just immediately, without question.
Yeah, the sense of community is really strong here.
It's really strong. So that was so beautiful. And when we show up in villages, like the local volunteers chose the families. And they'll know about it maybe the day before that we're coming, because we don't announce it in advance, because we don't want people to be upset or long lineups. And we just want to show up and give the food. And so when they get the food, they cannot believe it, because we give, as we said, 2 weeks. It's a really big package. Because usually they call it sambako here, which is a 9 essential things that the government gives. And it's usually, because they have to give so much, it's usually like maybe like 2 kilos or 5 kilos of rice and a little bit of instant noodles and some oil, maybe. It's not like bags and bags of food to each family. So they're quite shocked when they receive it. And I think it's really memorable to them because it is so significantly different. And also because we're getting all the fresh produce. And the reason why we want to do that too, not only because of the immunity, but we saw that as another way to support Balinese economy, the local economy. So we buy directly from the farmers in Kintamani and also from the local markets. Like, just like you, Edric, like so many people come up with ideas. Like Juna, like they come up with like, oh, I'm going to run an online yoga class, and everything that I do for that online yoga class, I'll donate to Feed Bali. Or someone goes, I'm going to do this beautiful painting, and I'm going to auction it off, and there you go. Or someone does a raffle, and they raise, like, someone just did that ceremonial shop. They just raised $3,000 by doing a raffle. So it's just amazing how many different ideas and how many people can support.
And how much people are willing to give and contribute.
Yes, absolutely.
And I really, even though this is definitely a very challenging times, but I really believe when it comes the times of adversity, it is really when we're connecting to our humanity again. It's when we see the best in humanity, that we put our selfish kind of ego behind and really see what does the community really need, and what do we need as a collective, and how can it be a part of the change and help to uplift each other and not just like focusing on myself.
Yes, absolutely. I think when we see, because there are so many sad things happening around the world, like with all the wars and all the natural climate disasters, you could be really depressed. But then on the other side, we feel so lucky during this whole time because of Feed Bali, because we're on the receiving end of seeing all the donors give. And as you said, I keep saying that exactly your words. This is humanity. This is like one human giving to another human who they don't even know. They're across the world. They're just like sending money here to help feed another family, because they know that if they're in that situation, hopefully someone will step up and help them. And I also think this is the karma of the Balinese people, because many, many people wrote to me and said, oh my gosh, I love Bali so much. It really affected me. Like my whole people, like my life changed when I came to Bali.
Mm.
But other people say their lives changed too, and they're really touched by Balinese people because
Mhm.
yes, it's a beautiful island. We have like beaches and mountains, but it's really the people that make up this island and make it so special.
Yeah.
And so when I see, especially the hospitality people who I see them, I say, this is just your karma coming
Yeah.
back to you because you have given so much in hospitality. You've taken care of guests so well for so many years. And you know what? This is just a small gesture of thank you to
Yeah.
you. So it's all just coming around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Really-
really beautiful.
Yeah, like what goes it's around, like
Yeah.
because all these people have been touched by people in Bali
That's
before,
right.
and now when they see opportunity,
Yes,
they feel like that call to give back.
that's right.
Yeah, and I want to hear more about what keeps you going to keep doing this, because like you said, you were running your cooking school and
Yes.
you were in the hospitality industry and you were
Yes.
heavily impacted by this as well. You had to shut everything down
Yes.
to focus on this.
I think that I think Feed Bali is what's kept us going. Because first of all, we had enough savings for like 3 months. And then in around the end of April, we were just spent. Like Adi, Santi, and I, we were going at the market early in the morning. We'd pack in the afternoons. Pack in around lunchtime and then distribute it in the afternoons wherever we were going. And by April, that was about a whole month of giving. We were completely spent and we actually wanted to stop because we thought, we need to pivot and make money for ourselves.
Mm.
Because at that point, 100% of the donations was going towards the food and we were just eating up the cost of transport and our time didn't matter. We just wanted to volunteer that. And when we wanted to stop, we said, we're going to use all the donations that we have so far and we distribute probably until mid-May. When we put that on our socials, people just started calling me and emailing me and saying, no, 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 no. You're
Mhm.
supposed to take a part of this for your survival.
Yeah.
We understand. We never expected you guys just to do this forever
Yeah.
and not eat yourselves. Well, like, right. so that's why our fund is also we started giving more. We have $30. So we can also support a whole team. So we had 6 wedding event organizers, and drivers who became our core team,
Yeah.
who are all unemployed, and we all take a survival salary. And it's only in total 10% of the total fund. So out of a $30 donation, $3 goes to the funding of the staff and transport and logistics.
Mm.
So that's how we survive so
Right.
far. And the other way I'm trying to survive too is this book. So I've been
Yeah.
meaning to write books for a long time, but because of the pandemic, I've had a lot more time on my hands, even with Feed Bali.
Mm.
So I've actually put my head down and written the book. And it's on its final stages of just coming together. And I'm going to be publishing it on October 10th. So we're hoping that will be one source of income for us to
Yeah.
survive because we really don't know. With all the uncertainty, we don't know when Bali will open.
Mm.
Every time we think that Bali is going to open, we go into another lockdown. So it's been lots of up and downs here. And it is really hard. You're right. It is like there's a lot of you can feel even when you go see the people, there is a sense of despair.
Yeah.
But when we come together,
Mhm.
when you see everyone getting like the food and everyone working together, and even when our team is packing here, there's so much laughter.
Yeah.
And I say to our team, I'm like, God, if you guys weren't here, I swear I killed myself right now. Like I think I would. Like I'd be
Yeah.
so depressed.
Yeah.
But there's this energy that's feeding off. We're feeding off each other, basically.
Mhm.
Really, there's this energy. There's hopefulness, and even our team when we talk about it, we said it just feels so nice to be able to do something helpful right now. To be able, like, you know what I mean? It's just it makes you feel like seriously, if everyone just did something helpful, they would be so much happier. I think that
Yeah.
is the key to happiness.
Oh my
Actually,
God. Yes.
I really do.
Yes.
Like we feel guilty because we feel happy.
Yeah.
Like we go through, of course, some periods of despair, but that's only if we look at the news. But if we actually completely ignored what was happening in the rest of the world and just focused on Feed Bali,
Yeah.
we'd actually be really happy
Yeah.
because we know we're helping people. We're doing the best we can, and we know that if we just keep going, this energy will just keep cycling, and we're able to keep helping people. We know that.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's the key to happiness
Yes.
in life, that it took me, so it sounds so simple and straightforward,
Yeah.
but it took me so long to figure out.
Uh-huh.
Like for a long time, I was constantly focusing on like how can I satisfy my own needs,
Mhm.
and it always felt like no matter how much I try to satisfy my needs and desires, I always felt so empty and void, like
Mhm.
nothing ever feels enough. But the moment I start to expand my attention to other people to like the needs of the community, to how can I help contribute, I feel so much more expansive and like so much happier, like you say.
Yeah, and it could be as simple as smiling at another
Yeah.
person. It could be that simple. It doesn't have to be something financial.
Yeah.
Or it could be as simple as like you see someone who looks a bit sad and you smile at them and say
Yeah.
hello to them and acknowledge
Yeah.
them. I mean, if people did that on a daily basis to one other person, the whole world would be different.
100%. I think that's really the goal of humanity. To be
Yes.
there for each other. We're not meant to be in this world by ourselves and like to make as much money as we can and like to think about how can we be better than others. Like it's very isolating. Like we're here, we're social creatures. So we're meant to help each other, hold each other, walk each other home. And I really love what you said about when I asked what keeps you going. It's Feed Bali is what keeps you going.
Yes, it is.
Right? Like you're not just feeding people. Yeah, which is so beautiful. Like it's not just you're not just feeding people food, like you're feeding off just the beautiful energy of just doing good for others. And
Yeah, and really, when you see the people's you see the despair in their eyes, right?
Yeah.
When you first see them in the lineup waiting for the food, but then when they see the food that they get, and then we give it to them, their eyes just like light up. Like it's just like they can't. It's like Christmas. It's like that. That's how parents feel on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
You know, when they see their kids opening and stuff.
yeah,
But it's just so much better because it's not even your kids. It's
Yeah.
just human to human. You know,
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter. But you just know that this is going to help them in
yes.
some way, and they're going to remember.
A couple of things. Like one, to me now I realize there's nothing that can beat that feeling of knowing that you've made a difference in someone's life or how you have made a contribution to make someone's life better.
Yeah.
Or like make someone happier,
Yeah.
you know, versus thinking of like how can I focus on me.
Yeah.
So that's why when people say, "Oh, you're so noble to be like doing this for your birthday," in a way similar to
Yeah,
you, it's because it's making me so happy.
Yeah.
Like physically.
It's not a nobleness. It really isn't. You're totally right. When I first was doing it, all the Bali media was like, "Oh, we want to follow you around to like interview you. You're such a hero." I'm like, no. I'm not a hero. I'm just like, I just wish people know this is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
is what we're supposed to do.
Yes.
I mean, it makes me sad that it's considered special.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I mean, it sounds nuts, but I'm like, my God, anyone can do this. And I said this on my post the other day. Anyone can be a hero. If you think this is hero, you know what? Everyone is a hero.
Yeah.
Because, you just have to step up, step forward, one step at a time.
Yeah.
And it'll just start going. Like
Yeah.
everyone should know that. Like anyone can be a hero.
Yeah.
Because this is not hero. This is just what we're supposed to do for humanity.
Yes. I love that.
It's just being reminded. I mean, unfortunately, it took COVID to remind us.
Yeah.
Look around you, see what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Not just for like people who are hungry, but see what really needs to be done for our world so that we can make it a better place. How we can connect, how we can clean up our rivers, how we can keep our environment clean. All these things are important.
Mhm.
But how, like, we all think about it, we're all conscious about it, but actually putting into action to do something about it. And I see lots of that action happening here in Bali, even with river cleaning and other people giving food. It's amazing, actually.
Yeah. This time is just a beautiful reminder to really connect with what really matters in our humanity. Like, because I think a lot of people these days are so detached from the essence of what being like human really means because of we're so sucked into the consumerism, like capitalism and all of that crap that like really takes us away from what's really important. Like at the end of the day, when you're at your deathbed, like what do you remember?
I don't know what it is that why people are so wrapped up in consumerism. Like I think maybe it's because they're scared, and maybe because of their insecurity that they have to show a persona or a status level to the outside world.
Yeah.
But really, that doesn't matter. Like I have lived like half a century, and I know that doesn't matter. I knew it when I first came to Bali. I went to business school, so all my friends are bankers and consultants and like high flying, super rich, really great people. But I was never on that path. I always thought, there's balance. We need balance in the world. And yes, money is important, but money is there to do something with it. It's like energy.
Yes.
To put it back into the world. And how are you going to do? Like if I was like, for instance, if I was Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, I wouldn't be going to I could go build rockets, but But you know what? There are like people in Africa and here in Indonesia who don't have basic water.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do that first?
Yeah.
Like that's what I don't understand. I would do that
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's a good segue because I really want to zoom out and see the life of Francis, like
Yes.
the life journey. Because, like you said, this is what we're supposed to do to hold each other, to like help one another as fellow humans. But unfortunately, it's not the common mindset that
No.
majority of people have today.
Right.
So I'm curious, what happened during your lifetime that started to shift your consciousness, kind of shape and mold this of compassion that you currently have.
Well, I'm really lucky for my parents because my parents, even though they're Chinese, I was born in Toronto, and they have the typical like tiger Chinese, you have to be successful persona.
Yeah.
My mom and my dad, they're both very creative. My dad was an architect, and my mom always said the most important thing in life, yes, money is important, but the most important thing is happiness and health. So that was kind of drilled into me from when I was small.
Yeah.
And then when I went to school and I went to business school, I had really great friends. And then even when I was like 21, we graduated from university. We had a luncheon and we were talking about what we want in our future partner. And my friends were talking about, like, I want my wife to be beautiful and she's going to be worldly and well traveled. And then one was that, like, I want them to be super successful and intelligent and funny or sporty or this. And all I could think of was like, I had these 4 C's: compassion,
Right.
communication, courage, and caring.
Wow. How old were you when you
21.
21? Well,
So I said, those are
like
the
you mentioned
4
4 C's. I
Right.
thought of the 4 C's in Singapore. Credit cards, cash, condo, and
car, right?
car. Yeah.
That only 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Was a Singaporean guy told me he's looking for a girlfriend, and he said all the girls are just looking for the 4 C's, and I said my 4 C's. He's like, those are. What are you talking about? He was like totally confused. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Can't relate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like right then, I knew that because that was important for me for friendship. Like I knew that when people are considerate and caring and courageous, I think courage is actually one of the most important character things to developing your children. So without courage, people are going to be afraid to step outside the status quo.
Yeah.
People are going to be afraid to do something different than what society expects of them. People are afraid to try something new. So I think courage and like compassion, all those things are so important in our world. And that's what should be taught in school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not like, not the credit card condo thing. I'm like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
I was totally flabbergasted when that guy told me that. I was like, really? That's the 4 C's. He's like, yeah. So that's where it all started. Like I've always been predisposed to that, I think, because of my upbringing.
Wow.
And yeah, I think also, as you said, spirituality, I really believe in goodness. I really believe in karma. I believe, I'm Hindu, of course, but I believe that it doesn't matter how God or spirit manifests in your life, because that's just how you connect to it. And however it shows up in your life, great. It doesn't matter to me, like whether it's Jesus or just spirit, energy, it's okay. So that's what I've always believed in. I just believe in goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Right.
I believe that everyone in their body and soul has goodness, and it could have been clouded or affected by their experiences in life. And I also hope that with enough love, that they receive love or nurturing, that it could be drawn out again. You know, if they can feel love.
And it will overflow to the people.
That's right.
In their lives, and this is what creates this ripple effect.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. I'm curious because you say you kind of developed this type of values quite early on.
Yeah.
But seems like somehow you also still got kind of sucked into,
corporal, because I was always still influenced by what friends and family said were security.
Yeah.
Like you cannot get away from it. They're like, oh, why are you doing that? That's not secure. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like even when I went, so I was working in Toronto first at a newspaper. I was doing really well there, but then I decided I really wanted to try San Francisco because the whole internet was just starting. This is 1999. So I went there, And I really wanted to work for this really creative company called Sparks.com, but there was a small company and they hadn't got their funding yet. So they weren't sure they could hire me, but I would have worked for them for free. Like, I didn't even care. But then, like, my brother and my sister-in-law, they were really worried about me because I was just basically hanging out on their couch and basically squatting. So like, get out, get a job. So then they hooked me up with CNET, which was one of the top internet companies at that time. So I strolled in, got the interview, got the job, and I didn't want it. I didn't want that job because it offered a lot of money, stock options, like the whole works, right?
Yes.
I could just sense that I didn't belong there. So my friends were like, "Are you nuts? You have like I had lots of friends that were working in Silicon Valley, like some at Amazon already, and some at this and some of that."
Yeah.
They said, "For instance, you have to CNET's like the top tier company. You work there and you work anywhere." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I accepted the CNET job, and I was the most miserable person. Everybody was there doing like crazy. It's like now all the stocks were crazy. They weren't even working. They were just on the Blackberries or
Blackberries.
it was. And my director wanted me to have a Blackberry. She's like, "You're the only manager that's going to have a Blackberry because I want you to like totally connected." I'm like, "I don't want a Blackberry."
Yeah.
She's like, "Why not? I'm giving it to you because I'm already so connected to you. Like you can call me. You can email me anytime. I don't want that thing. You guys don't even talk to each other anymore."
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's what I said to her. I did not want that Blackberry thing, right?
Yeah.
But she just thought it was nuts. And then I'm like, okay, I did not belong there. So then I went to Asia because I was lured by it, except because one of my good friends from business school was starting a company in Hong Kong. And he needed my media/internet background to help him launch his company in Hong Kong. It was called Hungry for Words. And then I was even more miserable because, oh my God, internet startup. Like, how could you even be more crazy hours? And then I realized at that point, that's when I totally burnt out. And that's when Adi showed up, which is my husband now. And I met him on my third day in Bali on October 8th, 2000. And that's what my book's going to be about.
Yeah.
So my book is about that. And our journey, the first book is about that until our wedding. But then after that, it's a journey of like becoming Balinese and understanding the local culture. Because we lived in Adi's family compound, which is with his parents. That's what, when you marry to Balinese, you move into their compound, into the husband's family. And that experience, and then how we became a Pumanku, which is the temple priestess, which was a long process, basically from 2010 until 2016.
Yeah.
That was a process just to become the Pumanku. And it wasn't something that was chosen. It's something that God chooses you. It's very, okay, so in Bali, the ways you become Pumanku, a holy person in a temple, is it's different in different villages, but in Kerobokan, it's through trance. So the God actually goes into your body and you embody that God. So my God happens to be Barong. It's a tiger. So it's like a mythical creature. And Barong actually fights black magic and is a white to the black. Rhonda is a black. So it's always just balance in Bali. That's why we have the black and white check cloth. That's why we're always giving offerings to the shrines as well as to the floor. So everything about Bali is about balancing. Because we believe there are both light forces as well as dark forces happening all the time. So we're always trying to appease both.
Yeah.
And that's, so that was a process. And doing that process, I had to be really, I did not want to be a holy person. Like there's,
I was about to ask, like, that was quite a big leap from the internet scene to like becoming a holy person.
Yeah, like that. Okay, first of all, I didn't know what was going to happen to me. We thought I was really, really ill from 2009, 2010. I had all these strange things happen to me. We kept going to doctors. And then finally I had this really bad session where it was like I had a stroke where my face was completely twisted. And then we went to Balinese healers here and they basically said it was black magic. It took it out of my body. But Adi didn't trust any of this. So Adi is a very modern Balinese guy.
Yeah.
And he decided to take me to Singapore, which we did. And we spent 3 weeks at Gleneagles Hospital doing every single test up and down. We spent thousands of dollars, like all our savings. And there was nothing wrong with me. Like, it was crazy because we had done the CT scans with a New York doctor who was here at the time, a friend of ours. And he looked at it, he was like, "This is really weird because your symptoms is like a cross between a tumor in the brain, stroke, and epilepsy.
Wow.
Because he's a stroke specialist, this New York doctor.
Yeah.
And he's like, it makes no sense. What? I can't even diagnose this. And his sister has epilepsy. He's
Yeah.
like, this is crazy. So yeah, so they said in Singapore, the doctors wrote on my medical reports, this could be something spiritual. Because Adi had recorded me during trance.
The Singapore doctor wrote that this could
Yeah.
be something spiritual.
Yeah, just Singapore doctors were educated in the UK.
Yeah.
The top Singapore doctors wrote that this could be something spiritual. I mean, that's your diagnosis. They're like, yeah, there's nothing medically wrong with you.
Mm.
So that was great. So then we were fearful. So we actually considered either moving to Singapore or back to Canada or somewhere else just to get away from this world, this magical world that we didn't understand and it was making me sick. But then I was like, you know what? I'm not doing that. I'm not letting someone, because we just bought this land where the cooking school is, and we had these dreams of what we're going to do for the future for our daughter. I said, you know, I'm not going to let these forces stop me from my life. Like, I can't. So that's where the courage comes from.
Yeah, talking about courage.
Yeah, you have to be brave and just, you know, when life throws you like something bad like that, you just have to fight against it. So that's what I did. I learned how to protect myself. And then I was fine. I learned how to protect myself and I was fine for a whole year.
Wow.
And just before my daughter's big ceremony, I became sick again, the same symptoms again, like a stroke. And this time we went to the healers here in Ubud, and they didn't know what was wrong. They couldn't take it out. They said, this is something different. And then so we went to a top healer in our village, actually. Top healer here, his name was Ratu Aji Sudikska, and he was in Kerobokan. He actually lives a 3-minute walk from my house in Kerobokan. This is our new home, but our family home is there. And Adi had never brought me there because going to a Balinese healer here is not like going to a private doctor's office or it's not like you have any privacy. It's an open compound.
Right.
Everybody's waiting together, and you see the healing. So if it's something magical or spiritual, you'll see people screaming, writhing on the floors, freaking out, throwing up. It's gross. So Adi had never wanted to subject me to that in our village. Like, that's why we'd always gone to healers everywhere else, in Kuta, in Ubud, somewhere else.
Right.
But Adi at this point was desperate because the whole band of healers that had helped me back in 2010 couldn't do anything now at this stage. So we went to Ratu Aji, and the second he saw me, it was this long, crazy thing that happened, but whatever was inside me jumped into Adi, and it was like we were having a feud. And all of our neighbors were waiting to see Ratu Aji. I was fast forwarded to the top front of the line because I was dancing I was in trance.
Right.
I danced into his compound. And it was, okay, we'll see you right away then. You're dancing.
Yeah.
And he's like, why are you dancing like that? And I told him how I felt when I was dancing. Like, it feels like I have to go shake my head. He goes, oh, you have been marked as a holy person. And I'm like, I just started laughing. I'm like, no, you're wrong about that. I don't even go to temple.
Yeah.
Like my mother-in-law does that. Like, I'm too busy running our wedding business or travel business, raising my daughter. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And I just said, I didn't go home. So I kind of ignored what he said. I basically paid no attention to that.
Yeah.
But then I continued doing my business, like our travel business, and we were entertaining clients during Christmas season. I would go to all these New Year's Eve parties, and I eat like steak and roast beef, which I always ate. And I would get massively sick, like these massive headaches, which I never had before. And I would take me to the doctor and get me all the medicine, but nothing would take away these headaches.
Yeah.
And then finally, Adi said, you know what? This could be something spiritual. So he took me back to Ratu Aji.
Yeah.
And the second Ratu Aji saw me from like far away on his compound, he's like, oh, you've been eating steak. Like from far away. He didn't even touch me or anything. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
yes, I've been eating steak. I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
Respect. He's like, last time I saw you, I told you you're going to become a holy person. Do you understand what that means? I'm like, not at all. So I couldn't eat beef because my god is a barong, and it's a manifestation of Shiva. Anyways, in Hindu, you're not supposed to eat beef because it's a very sacred, the cow is sacred.
Right.
And especially for Shiva, because the cow is like the transporter, like the vehicle that you do for transportation.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then this is 2012, I remember. And I said, okay, you know what? I won't eat beef because, it's really making me sick. It's insane, actually, when you think about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any logical sense.
No.
But if I eat beef here, I get really sick.
Wow. And that's like a confirmation that you need to like follow this path
Yes.
to be
Oh, yeah.
Priestess.
I'll talk about following the path. Okay, so I was still rejecting the whole idea.
Yeah.
Right? Because even normal Balinese people are scared to become a holy person because it involves
What does it involve? What does it entail?
your whole life. Okay, it's a lifetime position. It's not like, 5-year position.
Yeah, it's not like a
It's lifetime.
yeah.
Okay, first of all, it's lifetime. Second of all, you are responsible. So a normal Balinese person, let's say it's a ceremony like Purgawasi. So they would go on Purgawasi day and they would do the ceremony for like 2 hours. You, as a holy person, you would have done the day before to maybe clean up the temple a bit. Then the morning of, early morning, you do everything in your house to do first. Plus you have another special ceremony. So you're there 3 times more, at least 3 times more than a normal person. So a normal person would be there for 2 hours. You would be there for the full day plus beginning and end too, for every ceremony.
Wow.
You have to go to ceremonies at all of these different temples too, not just your village ceremonies. So your community might just go to your village temple ceremonies. We have to go to other ceremonies as well. So so you think, well, how are you going to feed your kids? Like, how are you going to live? So like, people think that too. There's a huge time.
Yeah.
We're running this like wedding travel company where like
Yeah.
I'm on the phone all the time. I'm checking checkout with all the guests, dealing with events. And I did not want to do that. I said, you know what? I am not ready to do that. Okay, like maybe when I'm retired, I'll be a holy person.
Yeah.
Okay, I try to do deals with God. So I was sitting in my office. My office used to be this like, I didn't mean this hut in our house in Krobokan. It was like a windowless thing. I would sit in my computer, and it was a big iMac, and the electricity would go out. So because it's an iMac, I can't work. So I come out of my little hut and look around, thinking we've had a blackout in the village. But then I could hear the stereo or TV from a neighbor, and I go to other side neighbors. So everyone else's electricity is working, just not mine. Because you know what? I was supposed to be at temple, but I'm not a holy person yet, right?
Oh my
But I'm not going to temple
God. Right.
because I think work is more important.
Yeah.
Because I'm Chinese.
I feel you.
So it's like, so then of course, because there's no electricity at our house, there's no way I can work. So I go in the shower, get dressed for temple, go to temple. And then in our travel business, everything that we did for travel and weddings is all by word of mouth. We never had a website or anything. We did no marketing whatsoever. We were just busy based on word of mouth. And so when people, let's say you would get my name and say, oh, Francis lives in Bali, you should get her to recommend you. So let's say you say, I want to stay in Ubud. I go, okay, so I don't know you at all. I get your budget, you answer all these questions. And usually I would recommend like 3 different hotels to you and 3 different, your budget. So it takes a lot of work going back and forth, right?
Yeah.
But because I was at temple, and by this time I did have a BlackBerry.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't have time to do that. I'm just going to give Edric the Como Uma Ubud because that's all I have time to check availability. And I actually believe he should stay there anyway. So boom. And weirdly, there would be no back and forth. People would be like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. They book it. And not only would they book it, they chase me because I was so busy at temple.
Yeah.
They chase me to pay me. I'd be like, what's going on here? Like, it was so odd.
Wow.
So if I would stay at temple, like money would just fall into my lap with hardly any effort.
Right.
And if I didn't, I'd get sick. Like it was messed up.
Yeah, because what's in your mind was like, if I didn't have time to like work, then like I couldn't make money to like feed my family.
Right.
But now if I just go to the temple, the money just falls on my lap.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah.
It was really weird. And it continues to this day. To this day, it's the same. It's the same thing. If I don't go to temple, things don't work out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking about surrendering to the universe.
Yeah, you
know?
just have to surrender.
Yeah, like for you, the signs just like couldn't be more obvious.
Yes.
It's just like a
It's
flash
like,
on your face.
yeah, like bricks being thrown in my head. Like, okay, stop. Okay.
Yeah, because people in Bali keep saying about surrendering, but like the signs are usually very subtle.
Yeah.
For you, it's just like here.
Yeah, no, the signs are like things are just like things just completely lined up for me.
Wow.
Like even with Feed Bali, an example is like there's this family in Marga that we got a donation from this guy. I matched him. Yes, I matched him with his family. There's a family of 3 adults and 5 kids to adults. So it's 8 people in that family, and they have like 0 income, and the father has kidney disease. So I got this. Actually, he's from Singapore, this Indonesian Singaporean. This guy who wanted to adopt a family, and for some reason, I just wanted to match this guy. I had at least 20 sponsors for my adopt a family program, and I had about 10 families so far. But I just knew I should match this one with this one. And he hadn't sent me his donation yet. I matched them. I said, this is your family. And then he sent me, instead of sending me 880,000, which is a 1 month of sponsorship, he sent me 1.5 million. I go, oh, is this for 2 months? I sent back to him. He said, no, I just want to give them extra for the first month. And when we went there, the story was so sad that Adi, and it was just amazing because his 2 kids, nobody's working in this whole house, 8 people, nobody's working. They live in the most desperate situation. And not only were we able to give him the normal adoptive family, but we were able to give him like 1 million more because of this donor. And just like I didn't make that happen. You know what I mean? Like the donor by himself decided to give extra money for this family.
Yeah.
You know, it was just really weird.
Yeah.
Because I just said, this is your family. I didn't say like the profile of it or anything. Like I didn't tell him. I said, I've matched you with the family.
Yeah.
But it was the right family.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying things just line up like that all the time.
Yeah. If you're like truly surrender and like not try to like force your way through like to make things differently from like what you're meant to do, like things will just like kind of fall into places. Like it felt like, oh, like the universe is conspiring like to work in your favor.
Yeah, Adi always says that. He says if something's really hard and you keep trying every other way to do it and it still doesn't work, he says, find something else. Stop. He says, stop and wait.
Yeah.
That's also surrendering. Because we're so used to being, especially who you are, like go-getter and doing things. You're so used to trying to think of an action plan.
Right.
And to surrender actually sometimes means don't do anything. And I think it's really hard for us not to do anything.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Just want things to work our ways. We have certain expectations or like how we want things to play out. And then when they don't match our expectation, we get disappointed. We're like, oh, I want to change things or fix things. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just have to sit and wait. And I learned that a lot from the Balinese people because the Balinese are so accepting of their situation. Like, I've never seen it more so than here. Like, anything that happens to a Balinese person, they don't freak out. They don't go into massive depression. Like, maybe they're a bit depressed inside, but they don't reveal that. They just contemplate it and think about it and then deal with it. Basically, they just deal with it, but not in dealing with it like how we would like fix it.
Yeah.
Just it's a very accepting way of dealing with it. And I think that gives them a lot of peace because they think it's like out of their hands. See, we don't think it's out of our hands. We think we can control it.
Yeah.
You know, but if you really believe that, you know, there's something above us and beyond us, and it is out of our hands, just wait.
Yeah.
Something might show up. Like I think about that when I think of the families that we show up to, like the ones we go house to house. Maybe they're like, we have been to so many families' houses where we're going to their kitchens and there's absolutely nothing. There's like not even a grain of rice. We knew like God made us show up there. You know what I mean? Like these people have nothing. Like it's really, really sad. We open up their kitchen and there's like nothing in there.
Wow.
Like not even like a little bit of garlic on the side or like half a thing of rice. There's nothing. So these people are just like going around getting cassava or some leaves from the jungle or something. I'm not even sure how I don't really understand how they're surviving. I think there's a lot of faith here. I think that's why Bali is still so resilient. I mean, if any other country or city has been locked down for 18 months, there would be riots.
Yeah.
There would be like people would go ballistic, man. Like
yeah.
Like they like seriously, they already are. Like the whole world is in riots.
Yes.
Like over the vaccine, over this or mask or that. Not over feeding your food. Like not like if you can't feed your kids, right? I mean, people will go into riot, but they don't here.
Right.
Do you think about that? It's unbelievable.
The situation was like so different. And, like Bali is in such a very much people are in such a low state.
That's right.
And then in terms of the level of suffering, yet they still maintain this feeling of this peace.
That's right.
Yeah, which is incredible.
It is incredible. Like
Yeah,
that's
the-
one of our
the
missions too.
resilience that
Yeah, the
you mentioned.
resilience. Like really, we were really, that was one of the missions of Feed Bali too. We anticipated, like Addie and I were actually really worried that people would get angry and people would do something that they would regret by doing rioting or stealing from stores or something. But that didn't happen. Like, but I think anywhere else it might have happened. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like people's emotions would get beyond them. But here there's just so much faith that things will be better and somehow they will survive.
Yeah.
And they have.
Yeah. Yeah, which is so refreshing, especially when you look at if you look at what they're doing from a Western lens, from like a fast-paced type of like society, people think like, oh, it's just laziness. Like they just don't want to do anything. So like we have to constantly find ways to fix and find solutions to the problems. But sometimes, like you said, the best thing to do is to not do anything.
Right. Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really is to not do anything.
Yeah.
Because some Feed Valley might show up in your door just like you you just never do.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Yeah.
like I feel like God just works that way. Like we are something divine is orchestrating all of this. And it is our job to hear it, as you said, to notice and observe and listen. Like so many people have asked me, even the past year, Francis, how do you live in the grace and how do you find like how do you hear it? I go, it's actually inside you. You actually have to be still, not like do meditation, sit on some like mountain and be a monk. No. Like, but you do have to find some quietness.
Yes.
Away from all the stuff, and you just listen to your own voice. Your voice is trying to speak to you all the time. I truly believe that everyone's voice is trying to speak to them.
Yeah. And these days, people don't have that time and space to listen to that voice because we're so busy getting busy. You know, like all we do is just react. There's just so many stimulation, notification, and everything grabs our attention.
Right.
Like there's never enough space for us to tune into like the voice.
Right.
And I guess that's what happens with you when you got burned down.
Yes,
you moved to
that's
Bali.
right.
The voice just kept getting louder and louder. You couldn't ignore it anymore.
That's right.
And then that's what kind of you felt guided to move to.
I did, because I felt like I could finally see what was important rather than what was urgent. You know, because we're always doing the urgent. You know, we're always rushing around, checking off a list. Go, okay, we did that. But because I didn't have anything urgent, I could only look for something that was important then, because I had wiped that slate totally clean. And I think that's why people do retreats, you know, so they can hear their own voice. And I think that's really nurturing. I think that's a really positive thing, that people should do that.
Yeah.
To take time for themselves, to be by themselves, you know. I think that's really important. So that, you know, many people might be afraid to be by themselves because they feel lonely. But I always taught my daughter, you know, you're your own best friend, honey. Like, you're your own best friend and you'll always be there. You're like, you will always have her.
Wow.
You know, so if you know that you always have your best friend with you because you are your own best friend, then you won't feel insecure.
Yes.
Feel like lonely, because you can't when you have that filled up with you.
Yeah, that really touched my heart, because I dealt with so much like insecurity and loneliness growing up, because I didn't know that I have my own best friend.
Yeah.
You know. And I think you're doing such a great job as a mom to raise your daughter to this beautiful, kind-hearted soul, because she was the one who kind of came out with Feed Bali.
Yes,
That's
right.
volume to the way you raise your daughter and kind of values that you're building when you're raising her.
Yeah. Because I really do see everybody has something to contribute in this world. Everyone's special. Everyone is so unique. And that's what I love about people. You're just constantly surprised by what they might say or do.
Yeah.
And I think if people just wait, as you said, and they let people do their thing, like the world is so beautiful when you wait for that.
Yeah.
You'll be totally surprised all the time. And then life is never boring. And I'm right. I think all the social distractions, like I even get distracted, of course, on Instagram. I think they're so cool and so vibrant. And it's open. That's another good thing. But you know, but when you look around and you can just see everything around you, there's just so much beauty right in front of you. And I think that's also the source of happiness. If when you're in that moment, that's also a Balinese thing. They live in the moment, which is good and bad because they didn't really save enough money. And then also people are also blown away that they can still give offerings,
Yeah.
because they still continue to do that every day, morning and night.
Yeah.
Whatever they have, they'll still share with God.
Mm.
Like, it's really amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I first heard that you were kind of making this into kind of like a social enterprise, that you're taking a little bit of the portion to feed yourself, to kind of give salary to the team, I was so glad, because I was so concerned, like, oh, what about their well-being, like, because
No, so many people were so kind when we said that we need to do the online cooking classes or pivot, or maybe I become a virtual assistant or something, like work remotely. People are like, no, you have to continue Feed Bali, because what you guys are doing means so much.
Yeah.
It helps so many people, because, as I said, not just help the family, but it really helps our team. Like, our team loves doing this, as well as the farmers. Like, I can't imagine, like, every time we show up in Kintamani, they're like, yes, you're gonna buy 50 kilos of cabbages. 400 cabbages. They're like so happy to see us roll up.
Yeah.
We go with different farmers every time, so it all spreads out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that, like, like a circular economy.
That's right.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
that's what I think is so smart about what you're doing, because not only you're feeding families food, but you're also supporting
Those
the economy.
families.
Yeah,
That's
so I
right.
always I put it in my campaign, like, you're doubling your impact by donating to Feed Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we see a lot of people, and there's some other wonderful organizations, but as you said, we don't like to cut any corners. We're just so meticulous in what we do. So we just want to maximize every dollar that you guys give us, so we want, it's just also the Chinese thing, the value, so, getting more value. I spend the $30, these farmers get it, and this family gets it, and our team gets some, so it's all spread out and shared, which is really what Bali is about. It's all about sharing and community.
Yeah.
So seriously, I feel like Feed Bali is way beyond me or Adi or Santi. It's grown to be its own. It has its own life now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like with a community of donors, like everyone helping each other, everyone coming with ideas. It has just become its own organism. Like, I know it sounds weird, but I really do feel Feed Bali has become its own thing. Like, we support it, and you support it, and that's what it means. It's been supported by so many people, and we're all holding it up.
Yeah. It's kind of tracing back to, like, your whole journey of how you developed this depth of compassion to give so much to the community. Seems like from the very beginning you were raised with certain values by your parents, and then even though you got lost somehow, like, it got stuck to the corporate world, and then, like, listening to your voice, and then, like, moving to Bali, and then really learning the values of the community, and that really reminded you of the values that were so important to you.
Exactly. That's exactly what, and you'll see that in my book, the first book. That's exactly the journey I had, because I was still wavering back and forth between the corporate world and what I thought were the expectations that I had to do with myself. I went to business school. All my friends are super successful. I should be that person too. How can I just give up everything and move to Bali? Like, it's just like, this is like the time before digital nomads, the time before Instagram. Like, there are no solo women travelers. You know what I mean? Like, this is 21 years ago.
Right.
Like, we didn't even have internet here. Like, it was so, everything was so basic here. So it's not like today where this might be more of the norm. It was really what my family and friends probably thought I was crazy. But it really just forced me to look at myself and really figure out what was really important and just listen to a voice. Like, because I have friends who would be like, oh, I have to make my first million before I'm 30. And they did it. Like, they're really successful and did it. But when they said those things, it would actually hit me like, is that important to me? Like, I never even thought about making a million before I was 30. So because my friends showed me that, it showed me what I didn't need. You know what I mean? And also, my mom always said, put yourselves in other people's shoes. So when I met people in Bali here, I met Adi, and I could see how kind they were and how they didn't have much, but they had so much.
Right.
And I was thinking, we're all messed up. We think that this is having a lot, but actually they have the most. And I could clearly see that. Right? It's like when I used to walk around in Canada or Hong Kong, I used to like walk around with smiling and laughing all the time. And people would tell me I was too loud. People would tell me I was laughing too much. And isn't that odd? Like when you think about it,
Yeah.
that it's not right to smile
Yeah.
and laugh. And like, like if you're just like seriously, if you're in Toronto and you're like walking down the street or sitting in the subway and you smile at someone, they would just think you're kooky. They would not think you're friendly.
Wow.
It's just really weird perception that the world has now. People are afraid.
Yeah, like you're supposed to fit into this box and like this strict, like a straight
Yeah,
jacket.
just be serious.
Don't be too much.
Yeah.
Like, don't be too happy.
Yeah, don't be too sad either.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go either way. You have to be like conform.
Yeah.
And, don't stand out.
Yeah.
Or, it's really weird.
Yeah.
The society really has this. I don't know what happened because, we went to the 60s and there's the hippies and rock and roll in the 70s and the 80s it had like mod and like, I don't know what happened in the 2000s. It became so, as you said, materialistic.
Yeah.
If they forgot about individualism almost, and also community.
Yeah.
They both forgot individualism as well as community at the same time. And I don't know how they did that, but they did somehow.
Yeah.
It's like weird.
Yeah. And I was in there. I was in that sphere of when your friends said, "Oh, I want to make my $1 million before 30," I was like, I had that goal too.
Yeah.
And because I was so deep into this matrix, I never even questioned like, why did I actually want it?
Right.
Like, just because everyone wants it. And then I was, oh, that's so cool. I have this FOMO and like, okay, that's the benchmark for success of how what does it mean to make it in this life? But I never really questioned, is that really what I want? Like, what's next after I make that money?
Well, another friend, also when I was just before I moved to Bali, this is way back 22 years ago, she was also highlighted something to me because she's also super successful. But she said to me, Francis, you seem really happy. And like, I always have all these goals and I always achieve them. She does. She's super successful. But every time I achieve them, I don't have happiness when I achieve it. And I don't understand why. I go, well, do you appreciate what you've done at that point? She goes, no, because I'm on to the next thing. I go, well, that's why. Because you don't even celebrate what you've done.
Just stop, pause, and appreciate. Accomplish.
So that's another part of happiness, appreciate and being grateful for exactly what you have at that moment. And I see that Balinese people have that a lot.
Yeah. It's so messed up. The society just gets it all wrong. Like we've all been chasing after all this like materialistic success and like what for? And then you get sad and like you feel empty and you should
because you think it should fill you up, right? Because you've achieved it.
Yeah.
That's the conundrum that you have. You're like, okay, I did it. And what now?
Yeah.
Right? You don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know why you wanted that goal in the first place, as you said. Like, you think you know. And like, sometimes it serves a really good thing. Like, I mean, if you do that and it gives you the freedom to do something good with it, then you've transferred that money energy into something good.
Yeah.
So, but is that pivot that hasn't been outlined to a lot of people yet? The only goal was to make the $1 million. But what do you do with that $1 million?
Yeah.
And I think now your generation is figuring it out. We're like, oh, we have to do something with that $1 million.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm excited about because I get that. I think your generation is going to do a really amazing stuff because you are becoming more conscious. Like you're not my generation where it was just like, go, 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 go. You actually stopped and thought about it. You're like, hey, why am I doing this? Whereas my generation, most of it just kept going and are still going.
Yes.
So it's totally different.
Yeah.
I see that.
Well, for the audience who hasn't figured it out, the secret in life for happiness is to give back.
Yes.
It's so simple, but yet so profound, but like people get it all wrong, like what to do in life. So we're coming to an end now and we've talked about, there's so much like wisdom, I feel like in this conversation and to unpackage, but if you want the audience to walk away with something, what would that be?
Well, I think listening to your own voice and finding quiet time to do that is really important. And as you said, the source of happiness is giving back. And it could be giving anything, a smile, appreciation to your mom, just saying thank you to something. And I think that is a source of happiness, to be very grateful for what you have. And and give back.
Beautifully saying. If people want to connect with you and Feed Bali, how can they find out more?
So they can go to feedbali.com is that. And also you can follow us on Instagram. Also it's Instagram. feed_Bali.
Mm.
And I think you can put it in the show notes.
Yeah, we're gonna show notes and look out for Francis's book that is coming soon. Her birthday in October.
Yep. And that's under Francis.
Yeah.
And Frances, and the last name is TSE. So I'll have a website done up, and also you can follow me on Instagram as well.
Yeah, a guaranteed better love story than 50 Shades of Grey. And lastly, my fundraiser is still ongoing. There's probably about like 9 days left. I'm raising.
It's almost there.
I'm almost there, guys. I'm gonna publish this episode as soon as possible to gain more exposure. So if you're interested, if you feel called to give back, you could donate to my fundraiser. I'll put the link in the show description.
Thank you, Adrian. And next time, Enrico is also going to go to the village, and you'll see more Bali too.
Yes.
Yes.
With that, we're gonna conclude, and thank you so much, Francis, for doing what you're doing. Actually, I want to share my takeaway from this conversation. Like, I think what I walked away was, one, you said that it's all about giving back, and that's connecting to our essence of our humanity, which is not to make a lot of money, like to satisfy our own needs, but to really see what's our role in the bigger collective and the community. And that's what really, at the end of the day, when I look back in my life, that's what gives me so much meaning. And also to surrender. Your life story is just like the exemplary story of like life. Sometimes universe has a certain path for you, and you just can't force your way like against it. You just have to listen and like follow and surrender. So beautiful life.
My life is like it. It basically is a definition of surrender. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Francis. Thank you.